Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sama, Sisters Against Mental Abuse. And today I wanted to share a story with you, a rather sad story. And I've recorded and deleted, but I really feel like this is important. Um, I want to highlight within this story the importance of understanding how serious mental abuse is. I want to prompt you all to start getting familiar with the signs of mental abuse, and I also want to encourage you to listen closely and be supportive when a Black woman that is close to you is describing mental abuse, because I think that this young lady would have still been here if someone had actually listened to her and had taken the mental abuse seriously. But we all know how it is, like in the Black community, everybody shrugs it off if it's not a physical thing. I mean, not even just as a community, but whenever it's a Black woman being abused in a non-physical way, everyone loves to tell her how strong she is, or they assume that she can handle the abuse. And it's not okay, it's garbage. So you have a lot of other people who say that they don't want to get involved. Well, I don't want to get involved because she's going to go back to him anyway. And so what? What does that matter? I mean, I'll be the first to tell you, on average, women leave abusive relationships 7 times. So that means they go back and forth before they finally leave. But the important thing is that they did leave. And this is just the data for women in general. I mean, look, I'm telling you, I know for a fact, Black women, it's probably closer to like 20 times or something ridiculous. But that doesn't matter. At least she would get out successfully. So this incident that I'm going to share with you happened 2 years ago, but the trial for this woman's boyfriend it started last week and it's continued this week. So we are also learning more information about what actually happened. And I, in particular, remember this story because I remember seeing Anitra on the news, and you don't see a lot of Black women that go missing on the national news. So it's something that kind of stuck in the back of my mind. People were looking for her everywhere. So Anitra was 23. She was a senior, a student studying at Fort Valley State University, studying agriculture, and she was also working as a server in a local restaurant. So the day before Valentine's Day, she she had gone missing, and her father couldn't get in touch with her, and of course, that was an issue for him. So as soon as he could, he went and reported her missing. So maybe less than a week later, police were able to narrow down their search and they found her lifeless in the woods. So what ended up happening is they found out that she had gone to a party with her friends, but she saw her boyfriend at the party and she left with her boyfriend and two of his friends. Throughout the night, they all split up and it was just Anitra and this boyfriend. Again, I don't like to say these men's names and I'm not going to say his name. He's going to be the boyfriend for this. But yes, so they split up and she and her boyfriend went to Waffle House and they went to his house, which was actually his aunt's house. He was living with his aunt. And after that, she was never heard from again. And so that's when her father, went into action, reported her missing. There were strange text messages coming from her phone to different friends and everything. So everyone kind of had an idea that something wasn't right. So this past week, it was discovered that her boyfriend had choked the life out of her with his bare hands. And then he put her in the trunk of her own car to dump her in the woods like garbage. And do you want to know why he took her life in such a fit of rage? Because, like, you got to be mad if you are choking someone with your bare hands until they're no longer here. You have to be angry. Apparently, she laughed at him because he confessed his love to her. This is his story. That's it. But that's it. And that tells me that he wanted to control her. He felt like he had the right to control her actions and what she did. And that's all it took. Furthermore, the assistant DA, the assistant district attorney, is coming forward and she's talking about how Anitra's friends came to her telling that the boyfriend was controlling, he was jealous, he wouldn't take no for an answer. and that she was genuinely afraid of this man. But of course, they couldn't put that in the trial. They couldn't put that as evidence because physical um there was no physical evidence of this. There were no text messages or anything, so it was inadmissible. But why would they lie? Also, I don't see any indication of these friends trying to help. I don't see where they tried to help her leave or move to a different location or offer for her to stay with them or anything. I mean, it's quite possible, but from here it looks like another case of she'll be all right. But she's not all right. There's other times where one of her best friends talked about she actually saw the boyfriend being controlling or abusive. Like when she was talking to Anitra on FaceTime, she could hear the boyfriend outside yelling or screaming, or if Anitra didn't answer this man's phone calls, he would call her repeatedly, pop up when she didn't want him to. And earlier that February, this man smashed the windows at her apartment and slashed the tires on her car. So I just want you all to look at this. I'm going to share a video with you all of the actual trial and just listen to this man. Listen to this man when he talks. The prosecutor is questioning him. He took the stand in his own defense, but I want you to hear this.
Questions for you. I'm going to try and see if I can understand, as the evidence that's been put in, if you can help me understand how it says one thing and you're saying something else, okay? All right. Now, first I want to talk about yours and Anitra's relationship. That was your soulmate? Now, to your soulmate, you slashed your soulmate's tires. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You broke your soulmate's window.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. You threatened to shoot up a man that your soulmate was going out with.
Yes, ma'am.
You told her that you were committing suicide and it was her fault, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You saw the text message where she said that you were outside her house and you wouldn't leave. You did that on repeated occasions, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You showed up at her house uninvited, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
She repeatedly told you, stop coming back, didn't she?
Yes, ma'am.
She told you that your relationship was toxic and that you couldn't be together, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And every time you talked her back in to the two of you being together, didn't you?
No, ma'am.
I went through every single text message on your phone. Do you know of a single time in your phone that you ever said to Anitra Gunn, we shouldn't be together?
Because I had a couple times up there.
Okay. Do you know how many times Anitra Gunn told you that you two shouldn't be together?
No, ma'am.
More than once?
Yes, ma'am.
More than 10 times?
I can't recall more than 10 times, but I know you did.
Anitra Gunn accused you in a text message, and you indicated in a paragraph following that she was correct, that you had showed up at her house and touched her after she repeatedly told you she didn't want to be touched, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And it's your statement that despite the fact that you would slash her tires, break her windows, show up at her house uninvited, get in her Snapchat, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Pretend to be her on her Snapchat, correct?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So Sierra was lying about that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. That you would threaten and screenshot you soliciting somebody to shoot up a house. Your statement is, I just don't have it in me. I couldn't have done it. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
So which DeMarcus Little should we believe? The one today or the one that threatened to kill before?
I'm the same person I am.
That's right.
The same. Yes, ma'am.
You're the same person.
I'm not the person that you try to make me out to be.
Well, so those are your words, aren't they?
Yeah, that was my word. But we were going through a difficult time, and we always made it work. And at those times when I did send those text messages, yes, I wasn't thinking. I said it, but I didn't mean it. And we always made it work. regardless of what we was going through. So I'm not the person that you're trying to make me out to be like I'm a monster. Because if I was a monster, she would have left me a long time ago. But we know what was going on. It's something that you want to understand. Every relationship has problems. We all know that.
Wow. Wow. So you all heard that. You all heard how unbothered he was, how he sat on this stand, and we all know he did this to this lady, right? He did this to this woman. But even as this prosecutor is describing, well, you slashed her tires, you did this to her, he still has it in his mind, oh, that's my soulmate. This is love to them. This is love to an abuser. Slashing your tires, busting out your windows, not taking no for an answer. She obviously did not want to be with him. She told her friends that she was afraid of him. She told him to stop coming back. She didn't want to be with him. And the prosecutor is saying more than 10 times she's indicated for him to leave her alone. She talked about how he went and touched Anitra. She didn't want to be touched. She didn't want to be bothered. But he still, this is harassment. This is harassment. It's emotional abuse. It's intimidation. It's gaslighting because he's still talking about, well, we made it work. No, sir, you did not make anything work. You forced her to be in a relationship with you. And she probably was too afraid to do anything about it. And the people in her circle didn't know what to do about it because they don't seem like they cared enough. Just the fact that he is so unbothered on that stand as he's being he's on trial for taking the life of his soulmate, and he's unbothered. And you know what he's worried about? He's worried about his reputation. I'm not the person you trying to make me out to be. Well, what kind of person are you? What kind of person does, even if he didn't take her life away, what kind of person are you where you're smashing on somebody's windows and slashing their tires because they're not doing what you want them to do? Are you serious? And then he goes on to say, because abusers love to do this, oh, I didn't mean what I said. Yes, sir, you did. And we see that right now. We see it because you're on trial and all of the evidence points to you. And you're going to sit up here in this court and lie. I don't see him crying. I don't see him upset, but this is his soulmate. Y'all really need to pay attention to this because this is just like what happened before. And I talked about Ariana Ariana Reed. And after her baby's father did that to her, he was just chill. He was just talking. He was planning out what he was going to wear to his funeral. Not only are these abusers terrible and toxic and horrible for you, they don't even give a damn about you. Anyway, long story short, this man was convicted this week and he is going to spend life in prison. And if nothing else, at least we have one more abuser who's off the streets. One more, because I don't see any indication in any of the records that he physically assaulted her. It doesn't take physical assault before it gets to them taking your life. It doesn't take, them pushing you or hitting you. It can jump from mental abuse, control, and those sorts of things to them taking your life. And you all need to be careful with that. But I want to speak to the people in these circles, the friends, the family members. I find it so interesting that Anitra described mental abuse to her friends, and they don't seem to have done anything. But the guy that did this to Anitra told his friend, and his friend helped this man hide evidence after he told his friend what he did to this young woman. And you'll have to learn this the hard way, maybe. But abusers are always going to have a fan base. They're always going to have people on their side because they're not ugly to everyone all the time. The stuff that you see behind the scenes, the abuse, the gaslighting, all of those things, they don't present that to everyone. They're actually quite good at presenting themselves to be great people, charismatic, or, friendly, kind. That's another thing. And I feel like a lot of Black women struggle with that. And that's why we need confirmation. That's why we need a circle around us that will confirm that we are not crazy. Friendship, family is more than going to parties together or just family events. Do you actually have your friend, your Black woman friend, or your family member? Do you actually have their well being at heart? When they're describing a situation to you that is completely unhealthy, are you just going to listen to them vent, or are you going to actually offer support? So I'm suggesting this for the friends and family of Black women that are in these situations. You need to listen and empathize. That's the first thing. Listen to them, let them speak, let them talk, and empathize. Put yourself in their shoes. And that means when you're listening and when you're empathizing, that means that you will not say, oh, well, he's just having a hard time. Oh, well, it's okay. It'll get better. Like that's no. Don't do that. Start asking them how you can support them. Support might look like letting them know that they can stay with you or helping them find other resources. You just it's all about confirming their reality, being able to call out some of the behaviors. And that's why it's important for friends and family to get educated too. Just being able to call out the behaviors like, hey, this is abuse. This is not cool. Like, this is enough for you to get a restraining order against this person. Or this is enough for you to call the police. Like, letting them know that there are things that they can do because a lot of them feel trapped. Just letting them know, maybe there's research that you can do. There's resources that you can find that they may not have access to because the prosecutor did say that he had got into her social media accounts. So sometimes they're not at liberty to research things or find resources for themselves. And no, you can't force them to leave, but you can encourage them and you can offer as much support as possible. Take them seriously. And again, educate yourself. So many times in our community, people just don't take it seriously. If you are dealing with someone who is mentally abusive or you're dealing with a friend who's going through mental abuse, just know secrecy never helps because we do have a saying in the Black community, what stays in this house, what happens in this house is what stays in this house. And even growing up, even with family members that are mentally abusive, we're taught to keep it a secret. Sexual abuse, we're taught to keep it a secret. This kind of thing and secrecy is very, very dangerous. So I just want to urge you all to reflect and rest in heaven to Anitra Gunn. I'm very, very upset that this happened, and it's a shame. It's really a shame, and I feel bad. And these stories are sad, but we have to keep learning from them. And hopefully, we can start preventing these kinds of things from happening. So, I want to thank you all for listening today. Just remember that mental abuse is abuse, and I'll see you later.